Hey guys, how are you? David Franco here from TechSocial.com, as well as YouTube.com/TheFrancoGaming. That's my brand new channel dedicated to video game footage, commentary, and all that good stuff. So the link is right below. Subscribe if you want. I just wanted to plug that real quick since, well, I'm excited about it. I'm not going to lie. Anyway, today's video is all about the Nikon COOLPIX P500. I unboxed this probably a few weeks ago today. So if you're interested in the unboxing, that link is right around this video somewhere through annotation magic. Click it, watch, enjoy. And also huge thanks to the guys over at 42nd Street Photo for sending this camera for testing and review and all that good stuff. So what is the Nikon COOLPIX P500? Well, obviously it's a camera. However, it's not just any camera. I should start out this video by saying that this is a bridge camera. Now for those not aware of what a bridge camera is, basically a bridge camera is a cross between your standard point and shoot camera, kind of like the Canon PowerShot ELPH 300HS awesome camera, and a DSLR such as the Canon 60D. So yes, this looks like a DSLR, but it's really not a DSLR. It's got point and shoot simplicity, but more extended controls, kind of like a DSLR. So basically saying it's best of both worlds. Okay, now with that out of the way, let's cover the key features. Oh, okay, first of all, guys, this camera has tons of stuff to talk about, so there's no way I can cover every single detail in this video. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments below, and I promise I will do my best to answer them as soon as possible. Okay, so with all that said, let's get into the key features of this camera. Firstly, I definitely have to mention this thing has a 12 megapixel sensor, so your images are going to come out huge and crisp and with tons of details to obsess over. It has a wide-angle lens which performed beautifully, a 36x optical zoom, which is my main selling point of this camera, which I will definitely talk about very soon. It has dual image sensors, which is always good. 2 is better than 1 usually, right? Yes, of course. It is a 3-inch tilting display for getting those tough shots. It doesn't swivel, so that way you can see yourself, but it does tilt, which is better than nothing. This camera records in full 1080p at 30 frames per second. It has an onboard stereo microphone, backlighting HDR, vibration reduction to get those nice crisp shots, 102 megabyte internal storage, which is always a nice little added bonus, and of course this camera supports a wide variety of memory cards including SD, SDHC, and SDXC. Alright, so now with all those key features out of the way, let's talk about all the shooting modes, and this camera has a lot, so stay tuned. Here we go. It has an automatic mode, obviously, programmed auto, shutter priority auto, aperture priority auto, manual, user settings, smart portrait, backlighting, night portrait, night landscape, and finally your average scene auto selector. And of course this camera does so much more than photos, and I mean video. It has 1080p HD at 30 frames per second, as well obviously just mentioned, 720p HD at 30 frames per second. It even records in the iframe format 540 at 960 by 540, and of course your standard VGA format 640 by 480 if you're interested in getting low-res shots for whatever reason. But it does not stop there. The Nikon COOLPIX P500 also shoots in a variety of high-speed video shooting modes. It shoots in 240 frames per second, 120 frames per second, 60 frames per second, and 15 frames per second. While all those key features and details are great, that's also stuff you can easily find on 42photo.com or Nikon's website. Your reason for watching this video is what? Yes, my personal review and what I think of the Nikon COOLPIX P500. So as usual, my format is I like to go over the pros and cons, so let's do that right now. First pro is this camera has tons of options and modes to choose. Yeah, this camera makes you happy. Well, actually it does make you happy. No, but seriously, it has tons of options and modes, that's what I meant to say, to choose from, including panorama. So there's a mode for everybody. There's portrait, there's landscape, there's nighttime shots, and it performed great overall. Okay, so this next pro, just gotta warn you real quick, guys, might cause a nerdgasm here and there, and I apologize for using that term for the lack of a better word, but it's the honest truth, guys, and that is the 36x optical zoom on this baby. It is insane. I couldn't believe how awesome the zoom was. Now keep in mind, I'm used to using a point and shoot cameras, such as the Canon PowerShot ELPH 300HS. Beautiful camera, but because of the small size, you really can't get a decent zoom on there. But because of this size, it's almost the size of a DSLR, a little smaller probably. You have more room for a better lens. And with that lens comes an awesome zoom. And I cannot stress this enough, guys. 36x optical zoom is insane. I recently went to Atlantic City, New Jersey, probably a couple weeks ago, and I just cannot believe the zoom on this. And I mean, if I say zoom one more time, you guys, trust me, you're just gonna have to take my word for it. The zoom on this thing was incredible, and other websites even agree with me. I believe I checked out CNET's review, and they even obsessed over it. Anyway, with that said, let's get on to the next pro. Keep on going. Mailman's outside. I don't like background noise. Anyway, my third pro is a big one, and this is definitely something to keep in mind when buying a camera that you want to use for long, extended periods of time, and that is the battery life. Now, first of all, I should mention that this camera uses the Nikon, yes, I'm looking at notes here because I got to memorize this, the Nikon EN-EL5 battery, which you can actually see right here. It's actually a pretty good sized battery. It's really not that small, which is a good thing because there is plenty of room for the battery in this camera. But anyway, with that said, of course I put it in backwards. I gotta be honest, guys, the battery life was excellent. Did you expect me to say something bad? Well, obviously no, because I'm still in the pros. Anyway, I'm trying to make this video stand out amongst other Nikon reviews. No, but seriously, guys, the battery life, I was so amazed by the battery life. Again, I went to AC a couple weeks ago, and I did not have to charge it once from 24 to 48 hours of heavy use. From recording video, and I took hundreds of photos, but between photos and videos and messing around with all the settings, because I was still getting used to it, obviously, the battery life did not die once, and I was amazed by that because I am the kind of person and user that appreciates a good battery life, because the camera could be amazing, but if your battery life sucks, then you're gonna look elsewhere, right? Because battery life is a huge factor. And I cannot stress this enough, just like the optical zoom, I was very impressed with the battery life. And finally, my last pro, but certainly not least, are the shooting modes of high speed. The high speed shooting modes are so much fun. Now keep in mind, and this isn't a drawback of this camera, this is just standard in any camera in today's industry. And I'm sure this will improve over time, but I give props to Nikon for including multiple high speed shooting modes, is the fact that your quality is gonna take a major hit. So if you're recording in 240 frames per second, do not expect amazing video quality because trust me, it's not going to look good at all. It might look good playing on your iPod Touch or iPhone, but if you upload footage to YouTube and play it full screen, trust me, it's not going to look good. But the fact that you can shoot in high speed, I gotta say, it looks pretty damn amazing, and I should be showing like a demo clip right now, and it's just so much fun to mess around with. Like, even if you're just pouring water on a plate or on a glass or just throwing a ball, just the speed of it and the overall motion of it is incredible. And now, as good as the pros sound, of course, just like anything else out there are a few cons worth mentioning. Number one is, unfortunately, the photos could look better. I was honestly expecting better image quality. I mean, okay, first of all, let me say the image quality is not bad. It's not even near being bad. I would say it's above average, especially a camera of this range. Now, keep in mind, this is not a real DSLR, so you're kind of stuck with the lens you get on this thing, which isn't a bad thing. But the photo quality, in my opinion, wasn't amazing. However, with that said, if you're serious about photography, you're most likely going to drop your photos into an application such as iPhoto or Aperture or even Photoshop. I say even Photoshop because it's more expensive. But you get my point. If you're serious about photos, you're most likely going to edit and fine-tune them yourself. Con number two, and this is something I honestly expected, and well, I was right, and that is low light performance. Low light performance wasn't that great in both photos and videos. It wasn't terrible, but it's definitely something to keep in mind. I wouldn't recommend this camera if you're going to be shooting low light shots, but if you're going to be doing that, if you're going to be shooting low light shots, I definitely recommend getting a DSLR and a camera that's actually built for that kind of thing. But for this camera, low light performance was alright. And finally, con number three, and that is video performance. I gotta be honest, I was very disappointed in this area because if I can get beautiful 1080p vibrant colors out of my Canon PowerShot ELPH300 HS, which is so much smaller than this camera, then I honestly expected better out of this camera, considering its higher price tag, larger body, and overall, obviously, larger image sensor. However, that's not really what I got. What I got was 1080p footage at 30 frames per second as promised with autofocus, which is a nice feature to have. but it just didn't have that vibrancy that I had out of the Canon PowerShot. So to show you what I mean, here's a quick demo clip of just myself talking into this camera outside on the deck on, well, an overcast day, as well as a few photos following that to show you what the photos look like as well. Hey guys, I'm now outside, obviously. Either that or I installed one hell of a backdrop in my room. It's not really funny anymore, is it? I'm sorry. But yes, I am outside using the Nikon COOLPIX P500 as promised. It's pretty overcast out. There's a plane passing overhead, and there's a cricket in the background. There's not really much I can do about that, but in my opinion, that's actually a good thing because, well, it's perfect because it gives you an excellent example of how this camera handles somewhat low light situations. This isn't really low light, but it's overcast, because I will say this camera does beautiful video in like broad sunlight and broad daylight, or whatever you want to call it. If you really want a better example of like extreme sunlight and a perfect day out, check out my AC video. I believe I called it Test Clip Nikon COOLPIX P500, and that's actually in Atlantic City, New Jersey, and it looked great. I will say the video quality does not look fantastic, especially when compared to my Canon PowerShot ELPH300 HS. That camera looks phenomenal, especially considering its small size. But with this camera, it's not as great as I expected, honestly. But if you want to really speak from a photographer's point of view, you're not going to buy this camera for video. You're mainly buying this camera, again, because of the killer lens. The 36 times optical zoom, cannot express this enough, is amazing. Anyway, thanks for watching this test clip, and now enjoy a few enjoy a few photos, there you go, that I took using this camera. You're back already. No, but seriously, judging from that video, hopefully you can see exactly what I mean. The video quality isn't bad, but then again, it isn't amazing. With all that said, guys, is the Nikon COOLPIX P500 worth it? In my honest opinion, yes. It's a fantastic camera in the sub $400 range. I mean, it's cheaper than an iPad too, which I think is a pretty good deal. Again, allow me to reiterate, the 36x optical zoom is insane, and it's a nice choice overall for a bridge camera. And of course, as always, huge thanks to the awesome guys over at 42photo.com. Check them out, their link is below. I really loved testing this camera out, and overall, it was a fantastic product. Also guys, do not forget, if you buy this camera via 42photo.com, there is a coupon code right below the video. Use that and you should get a free battery with the purchase of this camera, which is always good. And of course guys, if you have any further questions about this camera, because there's no way I could cover every single detail because this camera is so much to talk about, just post it in the comments and I will do my best to answer your questions. As always, thank you so much for subscribing and your views and your comments, and my phone is ding-dinging and all that good stuff, and I will see you in my next video.